Maria and I love to cook, and tonight for dinner I'm making a ricotta sausage pie. Sort of like a variation on calzone, but quite a bit different. To get started, I'm going to make my dough. So I have 2 cups of flour that I've placed in a sifter, all-purpose, unbleached flour. And to that I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and about a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to grind my sea salt for this recipe because I don't want big clumps of salt. And then I'm going to sift this into the mixer bowl of my standing mixer. And then I'm going to make a well in the center of the flour, baking soda, and salt mixture, baking powder and salt mixture. And I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 3/4 of a cup of water. And then I'm going to incorporate it and add more flour if I need to form a dough. But first, I'm just going to start out mixing this together using the dough hook in my machine after I add my 3 tablespoons of olive oil and my 3/4 of a cup of water. So I just get that started mixing on the machine. I didn't need any additional flour. The 2 cups was enough to form a relatively smooth dough. Maybe it's just a little bit sticky, but that's okay. You don't want to add too much flour because you don't want it to be tough. And now I'm just kneading it by hand a little bit after I kneaded it in my standing mixer with a dough hook. And I'm going to wrap this in plastic wrap and refrigerate it for at least an hour and up to 2 days before I work with it. When I get ready to work with it, I'm going to remove it from the refrigerator 30 minutes before I try to roll it to soften it up a bit. So that's going to go in the refrigerator. Meanwhile, I have in a strainer lined with cheesecloth a pound of whole milk ricotta, and I'm draining out the liquid because I want to get it really good and dry to make my filling. So my pie dough is in the refrigerator, and I'm going to go ahead and make my filling. Previously, I took 5 Italian sausages, sweet sausages. These actually have provolone and red pepper, but you can use any kind of Italian sausage you want, sweet or hot. I removed the casings and I browned them, breaking them up into pieces in a cast iron skillet. And then I drained the oil and I let them drain on some paper towels and a paper towel lined plate. I'm going to take my 1 pound of ricotta that I've been straining in my cheesecloth lined strainer, and to this I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese, and I want to get that incorporated. I have chopped up about a good 1/3 of a cup of flat leaf parsley, and you're using parsley as a flavoring agent. You really don't want to use the curly parsley. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. This is Italian flat leaf parsley. And I just chopped that up, so I'm going to add that. And then I have about 1/2 cup of grated mozzarella, and I'm going to put that into my bowl to make my filling for my ricotta sausage pie, sort of like an Italian Easter pie, similar to a calzone. And now I'm going to take some oregano, some dried oregano, and you could certainly use fresh if you had it. I'm going to use about a good teaspoon of dried oregano, just crush that in there, and stir together the parsley, the mozzarella, and the drained ricotta cheese. Now I'm going to make a well in the middle of this and add some eggs. I'm going to add 2 eggs, 1 and 2. And I'm just going to sort of beat the eggs up and then incorporate them into the filling. And then I'm going to add the sausage. But first I'm going to beat the egg. I made a well in the middle of the filling, a hole, so that I could really beat the eggs so I didn't need to dirty another bowl. And as soon as I get them beaten up, then I incorporate them into the cheeses. And now I'm going to add some black pepper. I'm doing this all before I add the sausage because I really want to be able to get everything nice and mixed together. maybe about a good teaspoon of black pepper, freshly ground. And I'm going to take my sausage. If I have any really big pieces, I'm just going to crumble them. I want bite-sized chunks. I don't want them too big, but I don't want them so small that I don't know that there's sausage in here either. So any big pieces we just break up. And then, these are fully cooked now, so I don't have to worry about raw pork. In they go. And I'm just going to stir that all together. Now I'm going to cover this and let it chill for about 30 minutes at least, overnight if you want, to set up. And then I'm going to roll out my pie dough and fill it with this delicious filling. I'm preheating the oven to 375 degrees, and I floured my working surface and removed my pastry dough from the refrigerator. And I'm going to roll it out. I'm going to divide it in half and roll it out into 2 round circles. Meanwhile, I have a 9-inch cake pan, which it's non-stick, but I'm going to spray it also with a little bit of cooking spray. And then I'm going to line the bottom with half of my rolled out pastry dough and fill it with my ricotta sausage filling. And then cover the top with the remaining dough and then brush it with an egg wash and bake it for about 40 minutes. So the first half of dough I've rolled fairly thin, and I'm going to use it to line my cake pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill this with my filling. But first, I'm going to brush this with some olive oil. And you just want to very lightly brush it all over with a little bit of olive oil. Just really lightly, and just get the whole bottom and up the sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my filling to this and roll out the top. Now, these extra bits that are hanging over, I'm going to fold back over the filling. Take my filling out of the refrigerator and go ahead and pile it into my pie pan. And just sort of tap it down and spread it out evenly. And then go ahead and take the crust and fold it over. Now I'm going to make a top crust, and I'm actually going to tuck that underneath this. So I've rolled out the second half of dough, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it right on top. And if the edges are way too long, you can trim the excess. But you want to have at least about 1 inch that you're going to fold under the existing dough in the pan. So you're going to lift it up and fold it underneath. And this is what's going to help keep your filling contained in your pie. And as soon as this is done, I'm going to cut a few vents in the top of this and brush it with a simple egg wash made from an egg yolk and some water beaten well together. You want to cut 4 vents. And I'm just going to go ahead and brush this and pop it in the oven. Let it bake for about 40 minutes at 375 degrees. So there's this ricotta and sausage pie ready to go in the oven. I brushed it with a beaten egg mixed with 1 tablespoon of cold water. And I'm going to put it in a 375 degree. So there's the pie out of the oven, and you want to let it sit for at least 10 minutes for it to set up on a wire rack before you slice it. So there's a piece of my Italian sausage and ricotta pie. I plated it up with a little bit of tomato sauce and some sauteed mushrooms. This is going to be so delicious. Happy cooking.